some final ideas from neuroscience to consider. So if we want to change habits, so we spoke a lot about developing habits, but if we want to change habits, for example, with older players or adults, then research with stroke victims is very interesting, because people who have had a stroke, the part of their brain has been destroyed, which has been responsible for certain actions. And therefore, you have to train another part of the brain, which has spent the whole life focusing on something else, to take over that command. So the coaches who work with stroke victims, they use mass practice, which is a high volume of repetitions in a short space of time. High volume repetitions in a short space of time, not working on, if you want to change a player's habit, technically, for example, not working on once a week for 10 minutes, no, work on it every day after training. A lot of repetitions. And they also use shaping, which is essentially they reward the person for every small attempt to go towards the good behavior. So for example, if you're working with a stroke patient and they can't use one side of the body, and you want them to grab an apple from the table, then of course they can't grab the apple on the first day. But if they're even able to move their hand 1 inch towards the table, that's a success. And they give a lot of praise and reward to the person. And as we know, that when we do that, we release dopamine, and that makes the brain more plastic, and that means that we form the new habits quicker. Also, constraining a habit is shown to be one of the best ways to change the habit. So how do we do that? For example, we can look at Thomas Tuchel's quote: "I don't want my team to use the long vertical pass into the channel." So for example, if you're the right back, he doesn't want you to put the ball vertically into the corner flag, but he doesn't want to stop the training session every time and say, don't do that. So he cuts out the corners of the pitch, they play in a diamond, and then he supports the players to solve the problem. So a constraint, because sometimes we talk about constraints approach in coaching, and we think that it means giving, for example, rules and conditions. But a constraint means that you stop the players from doing the habit that you don't want to see. And when you stop the player from doing the habit that you don't want, the brain now realizes that it has to become more adaptable, and that makes the brain more amenable to change and to learning and more plastic. So neuroplasticity is it means how adaptable the brain is to learning new things. So at childhood, the brain is in the most plastic state. Everybody generally understands that. And we understand that the brain becomes less plastic as we get older. However, new research really shows that you can kickstart plasticity even at 90 years old, so you can still learn new things.